Who, not just what, but who does the West celebrate today? The epitome of this new statue being unveiled in front of Rotterdam's Central Station in the Netherlands. An out-of-shape woman dressed casually, almost sloppily so, in attire fine for a busy day of chores, but not to be immortalized for all of eternity. She wouldn't dress like that for prom or for a wedding, in other words. This 12-foot tall statue by British artist Thomas J. Price is not even original either, which also fits with our uninspired culture of overproduction. He already has versions of it in London and in California's Sonoma Valley, though that version is perhaps even worse because it has the statue checking its phone. As cultural commentators point out, she's the symbolic representation of an empty-minded denizen of the West, someone who is slavishly dedicated to media and pop culture, but who's almost allergic to hard work and critical thinking. James Kirkpatrick of VDare explains, quote, "In a different age, Western countries built statues like this. But why would a liberal democracy want a proud, armed, confident man capable of self-government? That doesn't provide any opportunity for the regime to redistribute wealth and manage social relations," end quote. Exactly. The smaller the individual in the family unit, the larger the state, like with this Rotterdam statue. But the larger the individual in the family, the bedrock unit of society, the smaller the government necessarily. And now you understand the war between them. That is, in a nutshell, why those in power love to promote empty slogans like health at any size. Only cops need guns, but also cops are racist, so abolish police and only let criminals have guns. Porn and pride festivals full of men in bondage like we saw over the weekend performing for children in California is edifying, actually. Math, science, philosophy is racist, so don't even bother learning it. The national security state is benevolent. It only wants to save you from fascists and from hate speech. And perhaps the most pernicious of all, that God is dead and that religion is the opium of the masses. The statue epitomizes all of those false slogans which drive our 24-hour news cycle and which make us smaller and destroy our families, therefore allowing the state to grow in the vacuum and to take over those traditional roles, but for its benefit, not for ours. Join us now to discuss all this and a whole lot more is journalist Seamus Coughlin, the creator of Freedom Tunes. Seamus, thanks for being here tonight.
Good to be here. I'm glad that people are recognizing my journalism credential. You know, I started as a political cartoonist, but I realized that what most journalists do is read news articles and then comment on them instead of actually going out into the world and discovering things. And I realized that I do that on my podcast. So yeah, I've taken calling myself a journalist. I appreciate you getting that in there.
By that same definition, I am too. So you
Beautiful.
It's fun. But you heard some of my thoughts on what the deeper implications are of modern art these days and how we glorify those who aspire to nothing and are inspiring to no one, while simultaneously destroying the legacies of those who actually create and do good work. So what are some of your thoughts on it?
I have a number of thoughts here. Firstly, it's very clear why they chose to depict a minority woman in this statue, because that shields the statue from any and all criticism, as well as those who made the statue. So if you say this is a mediocre person who's checking their smartphone and getting lost in the algorithm and not someone who we should aspire to be, of course, they can always twist that into being racially motivated. The only reason you take issue with this statue is because it's a woman of color, and possibly even because it's a woman of color who's slightly overweight. Of course, this is a perfect representation of the left finding some way for its own values to cohere, because there's two things we've heard a lot of over the past 20 to 30 years. One of them is it's very important to make a difference without ever explaining to people that it's important to know about the things you're trying to make a difference about. The second new value that is central to the popular culture is don't be too hard on yourself. You don't have to do that much work. And these things seem to be in conflict with one another. But what's so beautiful about the smartphone is they've sort of been combined. You can be an armchair activist and scroll through your news feed, retweet things, hit the like button, get your own opinion out there, and you're not doing any work, but you can feel like you're making some kind of positive social change while still being lazy. And so that's why I think this statue is so perfectly emblematic of everything the left is trying to promote. And once again, it is wrapped up in the image of caring about racial minorities, and so that absolves it from all criticism.